And it's all valid. We've already heard it all. We all felt the same way.
I have a Jewish person
When you look at the legal side of it,
they would give an invocation as part of our council. The way that they pray is fine. If you have a Muslim by the public, they should be able to do it their way. But now you're censoring me that I can't do it my way. So why do it? Shake hands.
religion is very
Hello,
close.
sir.
He really,
I know, he really caught it.
he's got his background. So it's tough. Making decisions.
Yeah,
Well, I
I
mean,
haven't gotten a lot of.
We have a
They don't have your phone number.
No, no, and even
we have an opportunity to have our choice of religion, not a
Yeah.
no religion.
I very seldom get anybody, I go to grocery store. Most people don't know me, so I don't have any problem with it. Now him, he's very visible.
why they just.
No, he's in there, he's very visible. Very, once in a while,
Is that common in the U.S.?
yeah.
We don't need to do this one first.
I very, and I only get one call a month.
We just need to authorize it so that when we do get the letter, and if we don't get a letter, we can piggyback on, we can write a letter. It's not that hard. I can just say, I'm bad.
He's the focal point.
Yeah.
No. I don't. Are we fighting? I'm speaking on behalf of the council again, which I should.
You ask good questions.
But I'm gonna do it anyway. About the JTED letter.
Oh, I saw it.
Okay.
Perfect. Yes.
All you guys are saying is,
You got your own opinion.
we can get a letter.
That's what makes it.
Why is the governor, that's what's voted in.
I'm gonna tease you about questions.
It's a tax base.
Well, it's just that
That I
I
don't
have a
know.
platform.
That's outside my pay grade.
So I wasn't able.
I need a Chino Valley on my shirt though.
Mine says Chino Valley Fire.
Well, he says Chino Valley.
It's just Chino Valley, been fired.
You all right?
Yeah, pretty much so. Just,
Sometime
How's the family?
next week or so, if you got time, go have soda.
yeah, let's do that. Let's do
My
that.
wife has allergies, so she gets.
Good enough.
Get in line.
Unless you want to just go to the urinal and.
I told Juan about that, and he was just, there was silence.
And it was more. That's kind of common with Mr. Morrison.
Yeah.
From my side.
You know, they don't have the same chemistry and makeup.
For me, it was not so much.
My daughter was really sad.
You're being picked on again.
Yeah.
How many do you have?
We have 5 pictures and then 5 reports. 22.
No, sir. You got broader shoulders than I do.
The little babies are just
They are.
absolutely adorable. I could take one home.
They are. I have
The old
met
Navy
attached
ways
myself.
almost.
Oh, I could never go for it.
Yeah.
Thought about rinsing the shoes off.
Are we about ready to kick it off?
Yeah. I hate to admit you're right again. That just scalds me.
Would you tell my wife that? She never admits anything. You got the Marine heckler here tonight. He's gonna give us some words of wisdom.
Yeah. I imagine he wants to know how many tumbleweeds I've turned over.
There's gonna be a lot of them out there this year. Turn over. Yeah, that's funny. How many questions? So I'm gonna motion to move the call the public.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yep.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Since we as a council have not had time to discuss the invocation, well, we will be discussing it here in the near future. This evening, we will just have a moment of silence, and then we'll do the pledge. You may stand or you may stay seated. It's your choice. Amen. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. May we have the roll call?
We certainly may. Good evening. Councilmember Chuka.
Here.
Councilmember Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Here.
Councilmember Best.
Here.
Vice Mayor Croft.
Here.
And Mayor Marley.
Here. We do not have any introductions, presentations, and proclamations. The next order of business is item number 3, call to the public.
I'm gonna make a motion that we move call of the public to the end of the agenda, which would be item 7H, in order to expedite this meeting.
Okay. We have a motion to move call to the public to the end of the meeting in order to expedite the rest of the meeting.
I second it.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Response to the public. Response to the public is an opportunity for the mayor to inform the public about how town officials address matters raised during call to the public at a previous meeting. We had none. Current event summaries and reports. This item is for information only. The mayor, any council member, or town manager may present a brief summary or report of current events, or ask a staff member to provide the same. Presentation on information requested by the mayor and council will be made and questions answered. No action will be taken. Do we have any reports on this side of the dais? None? Do we have any reports on this side? Yes, sir.
We're again starting the Citizens Academy. We will start it on March 3rd, will be the first night of it. It will be 8 nights, 8 Thursday evenings from about 2.5 hours. And the Citizens Academy, really talks about, we'll have various department heads come in and tell us what their department does. We'll also have the mayor and myself, and the mayor will come in and we'll spend some time answering questions. We have the local education folks come in, talk about the school districts. We also have the service clubs. The fire district will come in, and we'll probably have the police chief, or we'll have somebody from the police department will bring the drug dog in. So they do that every year. They do a great job, so you get to see the dog. So it starts about 6:30 and goes to about 8:30. It'll be every Thursday for 8 weeks, beginning March 3rd. So, and if you want to register, you can register at the Chamber of Commerce. Give them a call, and they'll put you on the Chamber of Commerce list.
All right, thank you. Mr. Smith, did you have anything?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to cede my time to Chief Wynn. He has a report for council.
Okay.
You're right, Vice Mayor. They'd rather see the dog than me. So,
I didn't say that.
Mayor and Council, good evening.
Yes, sir.
I don't have a lot of facts and figures and numbers for you tonight. I think you get enough of those. Our statistics are in your annual budget report Mr. Duffy puts out. But I did want to cover some of the things we're doing at the police department. A lot of times you guys see them in your agendas, but you don't actually see the product. So we're just going to go through a quick PowerPoint, and then at the end, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay.
Let's see. For the first time that I can remember, we actually had a group photo taken this year. So that is your Chino Valley Police Department as of last fall. The tactical shooting range, you hear a lot about that from time to time, grants and RICO funds and things. This is the finished product. When I say finished, we're always going to be working on improving it. But we've actually been open for business for about the last year. We're running about 75–80% occupancy during the month, with it being used by various local agencies, state agencies. We do rent it out on the weekends for private instruction classes. So it's been very successful. I was at a meeting this morning, and the DPS major was just ranting and raving about how wonderful the range is. So it's getting known statewide. A couple more shots of that. The lower picture is our office, actually from the military program that we get free equipment from. It's hooked up, it's got electric in it, and we're going to get air conditioning in it. So when our range guys are out there, they're generally out there for the whole day. So it gives them a place to get out of the sun and do their paperwork. We had Dr. Gosar, our representative, out for about an hour to spend some time with us. He's a very big supporter of law enforcement and our Second Amendment, and he took some time out of his schedule to come visit with us. And if you see that smile on his face, he was shooting a fully automatic gun there, and his aide said that's the biggest smile they've seen on his face in quite a while. A couple more pictures of Dr. Gosar. This was actually our significant other class. We've been able to offer that twice, where we've had our significant others out. And you never want to teach your own spouse how to shoot. Just trust me on that. So we had a private instructor come out with his group and with our wives and significant others and do the class. And it was very successful, so we ran it a second time. And we'll probably just keep doing that because, like I said, I don't want to be out there with my wife and a gun. So. This is our classroom building where you guys held your retreat. This, if you recognize it, this used to be the district office for the school district here. And we did a little horse trading with them, got it moved out there, totally renovated the thing on the inside to make it more suitable for our uses. We've already had meetings and classes and things going on up there. We have our shooting simulator out there, so it gives us a big enough area to set that up and leave it set up so we're not having to tear it down and put it back up every time we use it. So, but it's going to be getting a lot more use now that it's finished. You can see a couple shots of the inside. And being cops, we like to eat, so the first thing was the fridge that went in. So this was our National Night Out last year. This was our second one. We think we nearly doubled our attendance. Close to 1,000 people came out. It's successful because of the community. I mean, the businesses support it. They come out, they set up their tents, and they have things for the kids to do. Very, very successful. Marilee, that puts this on, was in with Lori for her evaluation today. So her goal for next year is 10,000 people, but she told me she doesn't have room to park them all. So,
Wow.
a couple more shots of that. And if you guys haven't seen it, if you go on YouTube and you Google Boom Bandit, he was our DJ, and he had that crazy Batmobile car. Kids just loved it. We do Halloween every year with the town, and this was our booth at the Halloween. Our association manned the booth. Our guys love doing it. Gets them out in the community. Gets them out with the kids. And this is a great event. You know, it's the Parks and Rec puts it on. It's great every year. It gives the kids something to do. We don't have near the problems in Chino on Halloween night other communities have because we have a place for our kids to come hang out. We participated in Red Ribbon Week this last school year with Del Rio. You see Dancy McGruff there and some of my officers. They really enjoy getting out and hanging out with the kids. This was our second canine. That's Officer Mark Garcia and his dog Jax. We actually had a naming contest, and we let the kids pick names and then vote on it, and that's what we ended up with. And there's two good-looking guys. And the guys, too, the dogs. Nobody cares about the officers. They just want to play with the dogs. But they do a great job. They got called out yesterday up to, I think it was I-40. Got 25 pounds of marijuana off I-40. So.
Wow.
This was, if you don't recognize it, this was the old food bank building. 5 minutes after they moved out, I put a fence up, changed the locks, and took over. We had evidence kind of scattered all over the place, and we've been able to consolidate that evidence now into one building, with the exception of some of our old homicide stuff, which we have to keep forever. But it's given us a lot more room to work and store the stuff and be able to keep up with it better and not have to keep in a bunch of different locations. And this is the front area. The officers actually come in here. They have a computer now. They do their paperwork. They have a place to package their evidence. They used to package it on the same tables they eat their lunch on. So now they have a separate place. They can pull their car right up to the building, unload their evidence, package it. It goes in those lockers, and the evidence tech takes it out the other side and does what she does with it. If you don't recognize that, that was the Hummer before the paint job. This is part of the 1033 program. It's been getting a lot of press lately. Our president's not real thrilled with it, but gives us the opportunity to get equipment for free that we can use in various things that we do. Here's Hummer after paint job. The two young people you see on the bottom, we held a contest. It was a poster contest for anti-drug themes, and these two folks won, and their posters are actually on the Hummer. This is our future command post. Currently, we have a small trailer that we pull. The problem is if you're in there trying to work, only really one person can be in there, and if you're trying to think and write a search warrant or do something, it's almost impossible. The sides actually extend out on this vehicle and triples the room in it. It'll go through about 72 inches of water, so we can take it anywhere. And our generator actually just hooks up to the back of it, so we don't have to tow it out separately. That's the generator that hooks up to the truck. To the right is a medical grade refrigerator we got from the military. We used to store all that in there is blood kits from DUI cases. We used to keep those in your regular Kenmore refrigerator, and it just, they don't last, and it's just not conducive to it. So this was an almost new medical grade one we got from the military, so it works out really well to store those blood kits. This year we were able to save enough money, or this past budget year we were able to save enough money in our budget to actually buy rifles for our officers. In the past they were furnishing their own, which causes a couple issues. If they're involved in a shooting, we have to take their weapon, and it goes to DPS, and it can be gone 6 months to a year until the case is resolved. So it also, by us buying them, we set them up the way we want them, and they're all identical. If one breaks, we can just hand them another one until it gets fixed. We just got two of our, these are the motorcycles. This is another thing you guys saw on your agenda where we bought the motorcycles from Prescott Valley. That's the two bikes and the two new motor officers going through the training class. And there they are, all decked out. So now that the weather will hopefully start warming up, we'll get them out a little bit more.
It's nice to see them from the side.
Not sitting behind you.
Instead of behind you.
These are the last round of vehicles you approved in last year's budget and the capital budget that we purchased. They're the new Ford Interceptors. The Dodges that we have are starting to become maintenance problems. The shop was really pushing us to try to get those rotated out. So we did rotate about half of them out, and hopefully over the next couple of years we'll be able to replace all of those because they're almost getting to the point some of them are scary and they don't want us driving them. So, but these are working out really well for us. We haven't had any problems with them yet. And they actually have a lot more room in them on the inside than they look like from the outside. And that's one of the canine ones. In the canine, what we do in the back is we have a split cage. The dog's on one half, and we can still transport a prisoner because a lot of times the canine officer may be the second officer and only other officer working. And so in the past, they couldn't transport a prisoner because the dog took up the whole back. So we swapped those cages out, so now they can actually put one prisoner in the back and the dog. These are the MDCs. We've had them for a couple of years. What I wanted to kind of mention was we were able to put these in our cars using some grants and other RICO monies. We try to stay out of the general fund as much as we can. We're getting to the point now we're going to have to start replacing some of the original ones, but I'm working with Mr. Duffy on some options to do that there again without getting into general fund monies. So, but these work out great. The officers can run all the stuff they need to run directly from their car. They can instant message with the dispatcher if there's something that doesn't need to go over the radio. So they worked out really well for us. These are our e-sight devices. These are the high-tech tickets. You probably don't want to see one of these. We originally got these. The court purchased them, and the judge is kind enough. She's going to be purchasing a couple more as they're starting to break, too, as they're getting a little bit older. But they save the officers a lot of time. They improve the accuracy on the ticket because they actually scan the license and the registration, so that it saves a lot of mistakes in the handwriting of the ticket. And it helps the court out, too, because it automates it and helps them when they upload it to the next level. We try to think outside the box. A few years ago, we went about 6 months and we're not able to buy ammunition. And so what we did is we've got a full reloading setup now. And we have enough supplies to get us through probably a year if we had to reload all of our own ammunition if we couldn't buy it. And it's just a backup plan for us. And the other thing is when I get an officer that's on light duty, gets injured or something, it gives them something to do. They can go over and work on reloading our practice ammo. And this was my pet peeve for those of you that remember when we talked about space, is we were having to take reports from folks standing in our lobby and standing out in front of our building. So through some creative thinking and moving some people around and turning some hallways and closets into office space, this was our front office. We are actually able to open that up as an interview room now for the public. And we have a door that opens into our lobby. So if somebody comes in to see an officer, they can wait in that lobby for that officer, and they have a private place to speak, and where other folks can't hear them. So that's made me happy. And for 2016, I was going to plug a few things. I can't compete with the Citizens Academy, but we are going to run our own police little mini academy, and we'll run it right after the Citizens Academy.
Citizen Academy is going to be in March.
This will probably be May after you guys get done. And we haven't finalized it, but we're probably looking at 5 or 6 evenings, and we're going to expose you to as much about what we do and how we do it, and come and play with our simulator and some of our toys, and get a better understanding of what we do as the PD. And hopefully we're going to be able to recruit some good volunteers out of that class. So that's my ulterior motive. We're adding crime mapping to our web page now. Give folks an opportunity to look on the map and see where crimes are happening here in Chino Valley. We're going to be starting a class in the spring. It's kind of a test run just to see how it goes and if there's a demand for it. But we want to set up a decision-making class for shooting. We get calls all the time from folks. There's a lot of new folks buying guns, a lot of folks that have guns that have never had any kind of a training.
Right.
So we want to actually set up, it's not like just a concealed weapons class. We actually want to put you in our simulator and let you see what it's like to make a split-second decision and talk about that some. They've tried this in some other areas, and it does really, really well. So we're going to put one together and try it, and if there's enough demand, then we'll try to run it as often as we can.
Okay. Good.
And finally, I want to just plug National Night Out again. It'll be in August, and we'll hit you up again about it between now and then. But we're planning for bigger and better than last year. So
Okay. Thank you.
anyway, I think that's all I have if you have any questions.
Were there any questions on this side? No. Any questions on this side?
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. All those items listed below are considered to be routine and may be enacted by one motion. Any council member may request to remove an item from consent agenda to be considered and discussed separately. Does anyone wish to remove any consent agenda items? Anyone? Nope. Okay. Ms. Lewis?
6A, consideration and possible action to adopt Chino Valley's housing rehabilitation guidelines as per requirements of the Arizona Department of Housing, Owner-Occupied Housing Rehabilitation Program application. HOME/SHF grant funds will be used and require no town matching funds. B, consideration and possible action to authorize the town manager to sign and accept 2 Governor's Office of Highway Safety grants. C, consideration and possible action to appoint Mr. Dean Keller to the Public Safety Retirement Board effective immediately. And D, consideration and possible action to reappoint Claude Baker as regular commissioner and Julie Van Wuffen as alternate commissioner to the Planning and Zoning Commission with terms ending January 31, 2019 and January 31, 2017 respectively. And E, consideration and possible action to accept the January 12, 2016 regular meeting minutes.
Okay. Chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A, B, C, D, and E.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action items. The council may vote to recess the public meeting and hold an executive session on any item on this agenda pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A3 for the purpose of discussion or consultation for legal advice with the town attorney. Executive sessions are not open to the public, and no action may be taken in executive session. Item A, and this is the one that I assume most of our folks are here for. This is why we tried to get here as quickly as we could. Consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 16-811, amending the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 2 Definitions, Section 2.1 Meaning of Words and Terms, Chapter 3 Zoning Districts, Section 3.5 Agricultural Residential 36-acre minimum, 3.6 minimum, 3.15 commercial light, 3.16 commercial heavy, 3.17 industrial, and Chapter 4 general regulations, Section 4.31 medical marijuana dispensaries, cultivation sites, and infusion facilities. We have Ms. Smiley listed as presenting this, but I believe Mr. Gardner was going to do this. Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll be presenting you tonight with the final presentation that we have put together over the past several months of discussion through P&Z and Council. These are kind of the final steps in getting a zoning ordinance put forward, and I'll take you through what we've done so far. This first slide is just sort of a visual representation of what we've done thus far. We've gathered information from the public, both through email, phone calls, through council members, through the town manager, and other sources of information. And we've taken all that information into consideration and taken it through the citizen review process at Planning and Zoning Commission. After that, we had a public hearing at Planning and Zoning Commission, and Town Council has had a study session to discuss their options for moving forward with this UDO amendment. That leads us to where we are tonight, which is to consider the final UDO amendments and have a vote. These are the proposed text amendments that we've put forward after much deliberation and after hearing direction from council at the study session last week. The proposed text amendments remove cultivation and infusion facilities from conditional uses in the AR36, AR5, and AR4 zoning districts and disallows the use in these zones altogether. So there will no longer be a conditional use allowance in the AR 36, 5, or 4 zoning districts. The next text amendment we have would remove cultivation, infusion, and dispensaries from the permitted uses in commercial light and commercial heavy districts, and it would disallow the use in these zones. Currently, they are allowed as permitted uses, and we would be moving them out of those zoning districts entirely. The third text amendment would allow cultivation, infusion, and dispensary facilities all in the industrial zoning district. And lastly, the required 500-foot separation between medical marijuana facilities in general, rather than just dispensaries, and schools, parks, public buildings, community centers, drug and alcohol rehabilitation facilities, in any residential zoning district. If you'll recall, when we had an allowance for cultivation facilities as a conditional use in AR zoning districts, we had a separation between just the residential uses and the cultivation facilities rather than the adjacent residential zoning districts. This kind of cleans up that additional language and puts it all into one category. After some consideration and speaking with some folks who had some questions, I wanted to clarify a few things. One of the questions was whether a 10-acre contiguous parcel would be required for infusion and dispensary facilities. That is not the case. The commercial greenhouses section of our UDO is what ends up becoming a requirement for cultivation facilities, so that is where the 10-acre minimum comes in. It doesn't come in for dispensaries or infusion facilities. On I'll move on to what we should consider when making this vote. These are some considerations that you saw last week at the study session. They're the same considerations, and I'll go over them one by one. Conditional use permits, which we've had in AR 36, AR 5, and AR 4, are not really a tool to keep uses out. They are a tool to make sure that an applicant would agree to abide by certain conditions, and if P&Z and council approve those conditions, then we need to approve the CUP. That's one reason why we weren't looking at a CUP in commercial light and commercial heavy districts, and that's why we decided to put those all into industrial districts as an alternative. Our next consideration was concentrating uses versus separating uses. These concerns came up when we decided to look at going beyond the 500-foot separation that's required by state law. Once we get into a greater separation, we end up with enforcement issues based on them not the uses that we want to monitor and control being separated from each other. This isn't a major enforcement issue, especially with the police, but it's one thing that we can consider. Enforcement would be easier if we kind of push these uses into one spot. Nextly, concentrating the uses can also kind of minimize the impact on the greater community if they're all in a specific area. And separation requirements sometimes buffer these incompatible uses, which is why they were considered in the first place. So this is something that we decided was a good thing to look at, but in the end decided the 500-foot separation was adequate. Nextly, rezoning and getting an industrial use is not a right. It does have to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission as well as Town Council, and the general plan must have a compliant use. So if the general plan doesn't identify an area as a possible industrial area, then we would have to have a general plan amendment, which is an onerous process. Nextly, we wanted to make sure that we weren't zoning these uses out of existence in town. That is illegal to do, and we want to make sure that our zoning isn't exclusionary. Conditionally approving these uses can also be considered as exclusionary. Again, another reason to go into the industrial district rather than a conditional use. And some of the considerations that we were looking at actually have a minimal practical effect once we decided to look at how they would play out if we put them into place. Lastly, we need to consider that variances to some standards can be changed by the Board of Adjustment if a hardship is proven. And Proposition 207, PDR plans, and development agreements are all considerations that we need to take into account. Proposition 207, as you'll recall, is the proposition that states that any change in zoning could result in and Phyllis might be able to help me here, an applicant or a landowner making a claim that we have diminished their property value. Is that correct, Phyllis?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Good job.
One of the ways to take care of this that the state legislature put into place was a protected development rights plan. These were discussed last week at the study session. If you have any questions on them, I do have information available. Otherwise, we'll just move on.
Okay.
This is, as it stands, the developable commercial and industrial zone land with a 500-foot separation from residential uses. As you can tell, we have a minimal amount of zone land that would be usable for medical marijuana uses as it stands. Some of the areas I'd like to point out to you are, if you can see my mouse, up here in this corner here. This is Fletcher's Gravel Pit, an area there. We have state land here, which was difficult to map out, and the 500-foot separation would not be required from there because that state land is not zoned residentially. We've looked into options to take care of that, and that's something that in the future you may be seeing a zone change on for purposes such as this. Another area down here is the Cortez property that was recently zoned industrial. I'm not too familiar with the background of that property, but I believe some of the council may be. On the northwest and the northeast corners are two parcels of state land which would remove the 500-foot separation buffer. It would be brought down to about 50 feet, just based on the industrial zoning. Yes.
But from land within the town limits that is zoned, there is a 500-foot
That's correct. Yeah, any land that's zoned residential has a 500-foot buffer in place now. If you look at this small area right here, this is what's currently on 89A, or I mean 89. It's a very minimal amount, and once we remove the CH and CL provisions from the UDO, that will go away entirely. So it will push out these uses to the unpopulated areas in town. Do you have any questions for me now? I'm happy to discuss any of this further.
We've had some questions regarding size of facilities, size of buildings. What's the tallest building that you can build in industrial zoning?
Okay. Currently in industrial zoning, the highest maximum height for a building is 35 feet. Okay. That's about 2 stories plus a parapet.
Okay.
In terms of size of buildings, I looked into some of this today, actually. I looked at some of the existing commercial greenhouses we have in town, such as Color Spot and Bonnie Plant Farms. Those 2 greenhouses alone, being the 2 largest ones in town, total over 1.2 million square feet of greenhouses.
Okay.
We looked at considering a maximum height or a maximum size on these cultivation facilities, and we decided that it was a bit of a stretch to limit them to less than 1% of the size of other commercial greenhouses.
Right.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Other questions on this side? Questions on this side?
I'm sorry, I do have a question.
Oh, no. Go
About,
ahead.
well, this is reference, is my mic working?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Reference, if you go back to the page showing the dispensaries, so currently, the current dispensary that we have is on Commercial Light, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so for future, and they're obviously under the PDR?
The Protected Development Rights Plan?
Right,
Yes.
correct. For a continuation of their business. So any future dispensaries? No.
No, future dispensaries would not be allowed under Protected Development Rights Plan. Currently, the state has community health assessment areas mapped out. Within each of these community health assessment areas, 1 dispensary license is allowed. We currently have our maximum 1.
Okay.
If the dispensary decided to come forward and file a Protected Development Rights Plan with us, all that would do would be to afford protected rights to that specific parcel of land under a Protected Development Rights Plan that would be approved through town council.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, it brings up another question. So where that dispensary is now, it's a little commercial business center.
Yeah, a little
or
strip
whatever.
mall. Mhm.
So what if that business decided they wanted to move down the street?
If that business decided they wanted to move down the street after we pass this ordinance, that would not be allowed in the new zoning districts. So they would have to move out to an industrial area 500 feet from residential.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And once again, the setback, if a person buys a piece of industrial property and they wish to utilize it for cultivation, It's a 500-foot setback, correct?
Yes, sir. It's a 500-foot setback from any residential zoning district.
Okay.
Yes.
And what about if they wish to do a dispensary? Is there a setback with that?
It's also 500 feet.
500-foot setback.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Wanted to make sure of that because those folks who are property owners, I hear a lot from people, not marijuana growers, but just general public. They don't like the government telling them what they can and can't do with property that they paid for. So in this, we're saying the first 500 feet from your property line you cannot use for growing, correct?
That's correct,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion amongst council?
We discussed it enough.
I think we've discussed it enough. Insofar as limiting the size of the buildings, we've had folks ask questions on that. The setbacks limit the amount of property use, and we do have within zoning districts a certain restriction as far as the height of buildings.
Yes, and we also have a lot coverage restriction, which would further limit the size of buildings.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. If there's no further discussion or questions,
Motion to approve ordinance number 16-811, amending the Unified Development Ordinance relating to regulating medical marijuana facilities as stated in the ordinance.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item B, public hearing regarding application from Amanda Cordova for new Series 12 restaurant liquor license for El Charro Norte located at 2879 Arizona Trail, Chino Valley. And then the second part will be a consideration and possible action to recommend approval for a new Series 12 liquor license.
Motion to open a public hearing?
Okay.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The public hearing is now open. Does anyone in our audience wish to speak to the application for a liquor license for El Charro Norte? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Amanda Cordova. I just wanted to say a couple things. First, we wanted to say a big thank you to the building department for being very accessible and instrumental in helping this whole process move along. It's been really wonderful. We're just a couple weeks out now, so
Cool.
it's very exciting. And then also, we're just very happy to be part of the community. We've been able to hire so far about 20 people for the new location, and I'm still in the hiring process, so if anybody knows people that need work,
All right, sounds
I need
good.
probably about 10 more people. And just yesterday, we got all of our televisions installed, and we will be open by Super Bowl Sunday. And I wanted to also extend an invitation to the council and the mayor and family and friends. February 4th, Thursday, we're having a soft opening. It's going to be from 5 until 10 p.m. And it's going to give us all an opportunity to kind of run through and work out some of the kinks. So we hope to see some of you there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
That was February?
4th.
4th.
Okay, all right, thank you. February the 4th. Anyone else wish to speak to this public hearing? No? Chair would entertain. a
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion in 2 seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 2 is recommend approval for a new Series 12 liquor license for El Charro Norte.
Mr. Mayor, I recommend approval for the new Series 12 liquor license for El Charro Norte.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item C, public hearing regarding application for Robert Valenzuela for a new Series 3 in-state microbrewery liquor license for Insurgent Brewing Company, LLC, located at 990 North Highway 89, Unit B in Chino Valley. The chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to open the public hearing?
Okay.
Second it?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public hearing is now open. Does anyone wish to speak to the application for a new Series 3 liquor license for the Insurgent Brewing Company? Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Robert Valenzuela.
All right.
Like Amanda, I want to thank everybody, the whole town. Everyone's been very supportive and very encouraging.
Excellent.
It's good to see that. And I'm not as far along as I'd like to be. As things going on, there's a lot of work that has to be done.
Yeah.
A lot of infrastructure needs to be set up. But as soon as we get the licensing, I can open up, and everybody can come by.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Are you going to have a restaurant there, or are you just going to have a
No, it'll be tap room only.
tap room only?
Yes,
Okay.
tap room only. Supposedly there's a restaurant opening next door. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know what their
there's-
plans. I've not met them.
Okay.
But, yeah, just tap room.
Okay, good.
And those were some great drawings. They were clear and well done.
Oh,
So
I did those
thank you.
myself.
All right.
Thanks.
You did well for an insurgent. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to close the public hearing?
All right. Is there any others? Okay. Motion to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The second part is recommend approval for a new Series 3 liquor license for Insurgent Brewing Company, LLC.
Motion to recommend approval for a new Series 3 liquor license for Insurgent Brewing Company, LLC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item D, consideration and possible action to approve ordinance number 16-809, amending the Town Code, Title III Administration, Chapter 34, Municipal Court, Subchapter Municipal Court Fees, Sections 34.20, Authority to Set Fee Amounts, 34.21, Establishment of Funds and Allocation of Fees, and 34.22, Establishment of Court Fees. We have Miss Smiley. Oh, okay.
We have the judge.
All right. We have the Judge Judge Kelly.
Become the judge.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I don't know, maybe if F shouldn't perhaps precede E. As far as just a general understanding of what that involves.
Oh, you're talking about D and E?
I am, yeah, thank you.
Because
Straighten me out.
item F is our angry letter to Governor Ducey. So,
Yeah, I think we should discuss that right now.
all right.
No, I don't know if E might be better to discuss first, just for understanding.
Well, to explain, I put the ordinance revising the fees first because you're adopting fees based on the way the ordinance is structured. So first, change what fees are in the code, and then give the new amounts.
I understand.
That was my thinking.
That makes complete sense to me. Probably confused everybody else, but makes sense.
All right. We're good. Anyway, go ahead, Miss Kelly.
Well, assuming we're going to discuss item D, and that relates to the fees specifically, I'm sure that was some fascinating reading for you all. And, oh, sure. I didn't know if it was just recording or, okay. All right. I don't know what you'd like to discuss about the fees. It's pretty dry stuff. And I thought it was very well covered in the newspaper. You know, it was very fair coverage. Nothing is being changed to anybody's detriment. The most interesting fees to me, there are two that are interesting. One is the warrant fee. And it used to be, or it still is, $27. That is very out of line with what the warrant fees are in other places. And just in case you'd like to know what the issuance of a warrant really costs a jurisdiction, it's about $900. And so saying somebody who has done something that deserves the issuance of a warrant should pay $100 towards our actual cost makes good sense. Brings us right into line with the rest of the people in the county, the rest of the towns and jurisdictions in the county. And the other fee that to me is interesting in here and different is the addition of a deferred prosecution fee, suspended sentence fee, because once again, that requires administration. And there just hasn't been such a fee. Most other jurisdictions also charge that kind of fee. And so the one we're instituting is very much in line. So rather than being out of line with neighboring jurisdictions, we're coming right in where they are.
Excellent. It was a well-put-together staff report, so.
Good.
All right.
Glad
Are
you
there
enjoyed
any
it.
questions for Ms. Kelly? No? Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, the chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance number 16-809.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item E, consideration and possible action to amend, update, and revise the fees currently in use by the Chino Valley Municipal Court. I think the chair would entertain a motion.
Yes.
Chair will entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 16-1075, amending, updating, and revising the fee schedule for the Chino Valley Municipal Court.
All right.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're moving towards call to the public. We'll be there shortly. Item F, consideration and possible action to authorize the mayor on behalf of the council to sign a letter of protest to Governor Ducey and other state officials regarding budget cuts to the Joint Technical Education District, or JTED, educational program. Councilman Best, you're the one that had brought this to our attention. Did you need to add anything to that?
Well, I'd like to compliment some of our senators and representatives who've already stepped up and complained to the governor for cutting this program. I think there was as many as 72 of them, and his idea was to go ahead and have them find the money. But I think our kids are very important, and we need to let the governor know that kids are more important than maybe some of his other programs.
Easy enough, thank you. Any others? Okay, the chair would entertain. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to put in a plug for the JTED program as well. For the townspeople that aren't completely aware of that program, it's an excellent program in the schools. It gives them skills to go out and become part of the working force, particularly for the families that can't necessarily afford the education process of college.
Right.
So it's an excellent program in our schools.
You bet. That it is. All
I got
right.
one more.
Yes, sir.
I was talking to a couple of kids out there who've graduated from the linesman's program, where they're taught how to be linesmen, and upon graduation, one's 19, one's 20, and they were given $80,000 a year jobs.
Yeah. It's an excellent
So, I
program.
mean, for a kid not going to college, that's a great income.
You bet. You bet. All right, the chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to authorize the mayor on behalf of the council to sign a letter of protest.
Second. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Since that was a letter protesting and it wasn't defined, I'm going to protest about my vice mayor. Item G, consideration and possible
You
action.
don't pay me enough.
When should I ask to, you want to go through it? Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna write, item G, consideration and possible action to approve a reorganization to separate the positions of Director of Public Works and Town Engineer by adopting ordinance number 16-810, amending Town Code Title 5 Public Works, Chapter 50 General Provisions, Subchapter Utility Department, Section 50.15 Public Works Director, and approving a revision to the Town of Chino Valley organizational chart. Mr. Turner.
I'd like to make a motion to table this.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table. Is there any discussion? No. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. It will be brought back up at a later date. Now we come to call to the public. Let me go back to the first page. Call to the public is an opportunity for the public to address the council concerning a subject that is not on the agenda. Public comment is encouraged. Individuals are limited to speak for 3 minutes. Total time for call to the public may be up to 30 minutes per meeting. Council action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date, or responding to criticism. First of all, I'd like to thank our audience for allowing us to move call to the public back so we could deal with the medical marijuana zoning issue. Any who wishes to speak to call to the public? Mr. Brown, well, Todd's beating you to it. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, and thank you, council members, for being allowed to speak. I was somewhat moved in regards to your JTED plea to the governor, which is echoed by the county and everybody that has any good sense. One of the things about the JTED program, I've watched that program for the last 5 or 6 years, really meld into being quite the accomplishment for our communities, and it has a big impact, especially on the rural kids of Arizona. So I wanted to say thank you for your efforts. We've already, as a Board of Supervisors, have moved forward with that.
Okay.
So wanted to let you also know about something that just came up yesterday afternoon that you may not be aware of, that affects all the towns, cities, and counties within the state. That the board at our hearing room down on Fair Street, apparently next Monday, Governor Ducey is sending a special group of people down to explain his budget to us. And between 2 and 4, and they're welcoming all persons there to come in and talk with these staff members. And I think it's a good time to let them know what their impacts of their cuts have done to us in the local areas and how it's affected our town, cities, and county. The county alone lost over $3.5 million last year. And for those of you who buy lotto tickets, I would suggest you don't, because a lot of money does not come back to the cities or towns or counties with a population of over 200,000, which we are. We get zero. So anyway, also I wanted to say thank you to the council for doing an exceptional job of working through this difficult issue with the zoning issues regarding the marijuana cultivation locations. So it's a tough one. You guys really worked hard on it, and you all should be given a big hand of applause.
All
so
right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Todd League. You still have to state your name, though.
Thank you, Mayor. My name's Todd League, Overflow Coffee, 448 Highway 89. And I just wanted to bring to the council's attention, about a year and a half or more ago, I received a letter from ADOT and stating that they were going to be putting a stop sign or stop light at Road 1 North and Highway 89. And through, I know, budget cuts and all of that, it's kind of got bumped down the line. But again, today we had a fairly severe accident right there at the medical center. And so my intention is just to have the council look at that, to maybe bump that up on the docket if we can. You know, a large number of our how would I say this politically correct, those that have a lot of life experience and many years of life experience are at that medical center quite often. And they're trying to make a left turn coming out of the medical center, and you have others making a right turn coming out of Road 1. And so there's just a big issue there. So if the council would look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the stoplight at Road 1 North. Right. Yes, we've been hearing about that for some time. Every time I go through a roundabout. Who else? Yes, sir.
Is this Marine heckler here that's coming up?
He's a protected heckler.
My name is Lee Paul. I live on Harrison Drive. I'd like to echo my my appreciation for the fact that the council did a great job in the joint technical education district. That shouldn't even be a question, for crying out loud. When I was a kid in high school, we took shop and all kinds of training, mechanical and carpenter and so forth. Well, the only other thing I have to discuss tonight is, excuse me,
Here it comes, man.
Butterfingers. We had a chili cook-off. I don't need this. This will not require a response. But we had a chili cook-off a few months ago, or a few weeks ago. I worked like a dog making my chili. Now, I don't know, I don't want to make this as a complaint, but I don't know if this was political expediency or what. But I came in 5th. Who came in 4th? Mayor Marley.
I got a Nobel Peace Prize.
I still think my chili was better than Mayor Marley's, but I do appreciate this memento. It didn't come cheap. I paid the full fee, but it was a lot of fun, and I think we ought to do it again. I'll probably get in, spend another entrance fee, and be embarrassed again, but my only alternative is be a politician, I guess. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. I knew sooner or later I would hear about that chili cook-off. It was just a matter of time. Anyone else for call to the public? Okay. Call to the public is now closed. The chair would entertain a motion. Oh, we have to go to executive session. Executive session, council may vote to recess the regular meeting and hold an executive session, which will not be open to the public for the following purposes. We're not doing an executive session. Action items resumed. We're not doing any action items. The chair would now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Judge was.